Vigilante Williamson here with a very simple question, and that is, how will the Seattle Seahawks do in 2025? This is a very tough team to pick. My TLDR, 7 to 10 wins as far as a range. If I got to pick one number, 9? 9 wins, 8, 9 wins. Just outside the playoffs, solid but not quite good enough. Could I be wrong? I'm not too high on this division, even though it was a tough division last year. The Seahawks did win 10 games last year and didn't make the playoffs. They had the best dollar-for-dollar quarterback not named Brock Purdy, even though that's no longer true because Brock Purdy got paid. In Geno Smith, he threw 4,300 yards, 70% completion percentage. Incredible numbers, but he also threw 15 picks and only 21 touchdowns for that 15 picks. Sometimes you can deal with 15 picks if it's a guy like Baker or Josh Allen who can give you like 25 to 30 to 40 touchdowns. That's not what Geno Smith did. But again, for the price, as good a quarterback as you can get, can you do that twice with a different quarterback? Not to rhyme. And Sam Darnold, who had himself a pretty good year last year with the Vikings, 35 touchdowns. Another guy got 4,300 yards, not quite the same completion percentage, but 66, but still pretty good. 12 picks, but again, 35 touchdowns, a lot of touchdowns for those picks. So I'm not saying he can give you what he gave you last year. I'm not even saying that he can give you what Geno Smith gave you last year. I don't know either. That's what I'm confused about what to do with this team. I think Sam Darnold had a good year, but was that a one-year wonder? Was that hey, you have Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison? He's still going to have a pretty decent offense around him. You have Jackson Smith. Oh, boy. Jackson Smith for Jigba. I don't know if I pronounced his last name correctly. I probably didn't. Jackson Smith and Jigba. I'm going to say that. It's probably wrong. I apologize. But he's one of the best receivers in the league. You had another one of the best receivers in the league, even though he had some injuries in DK Metcalf. You have shipped him off to Pittsburgh. And then you have kind of a two-headed monster with Kenneth Walker III and Zach Charbonnet. Kenneth Walker is often getting hurt. Maybe this is the year Zach Charbonnet kind of takes over as RB1 permanently. I'm not sure. But, combined, they gave you pretty good all-purpose yardage. Combined in almost 400 touches, they gave you – let me see if I can do this math real quick. I'm going to do the math and then come back. Hold on. So doing the math, they combined for some pretty good production. They combined for 1,100 rushing yards. They combined for 639 passing yards. So that's about 1,781 yards on a combined 376 touches. That's pretty good. That is pretty good, man. I think a lot of people will take that production, even from two running backs. So there's something there with that. Obviously, Geno was a part of running a little bit himself. I don't expect Darnold to do too much of that. But I think between Charbonnet and Walker, if Walker can stay healthy, Kenneth Walker, even though he's still a younger running back, he just constantly has injuries. If he can stay healthy and Charbonnet can take that next step, worst case scenario, you can run the ball quite a bit with those two running backs and take that pressure off of Darnold. And then again, you have Jackson Smith and Jigba. Don't have Tyler Lockett, long time Seattle Seahawk. You know what I mean? He's just been there forever. So it sucks to see him go. It sucks to see a lot of the turnover with Seattle. But, you got to move on to the future. The defense is not terrible. They were ranked 14th for yards, 11th for scoring. So that means they're a little better of a scoring defense than the yardage defense. That's what you want to see. They were only 18th in scoring offense. And, again, 14th. Just right above the middle of the pack in offense. But, the defense is not bare. You have Leonard Williams, one of the better defensive players you'll have in the league. He had 11 sacks and a pick, believe it or not. He had a pick six. He had a 92-yard pick six. Holy shit. He's good. Derek Hall is a decent second edge rusher. Well, technically he's an inside linebacker, but, he got 8 sacks. So you got a decent amount of sacks from if he's an inside linebacker getting 8 sacks, that's actually incredible. You got decent defensive foundation, at least with those edge rushers. Honestly, if you've watched these videos before, my expertise is not on defense. My expertise doesn't exist. And if it does, it's on offense. That's why I kind of pay more attention to. But it is what it is. It's still a solid defense, has solid edge rushing and solid pass rushing as a whole. One of the best rushing defenses as well, the number 4 rushing defense as far as touchdowns. Okay as far as yards, 16, again, kind of in the middle of the pack, but they just stop scoring. That's their thing. They don't let people, and I've talked about not necessarily having the red zone numbers. Next year when I do this, I'm going to make sure I have those red zone numbers handy for each team. I got to imagine they're a pretty good red zone defense, because if they're giving up yardage at a different rank and they're giving up touchdowns at a higher rank, they're stopping rushing touchdowns, that probably means they're stopping touchdowns in the red zone. So this defense has some promise. The offense has some promise. They're not in the toughest division. I mean, I'm picking the 49ers to be the second best team in this division. I'm picking the Rams to win the division. And I'm picking this team to probably be third in the division. Maybe fourth. I don't know. I kind of always feel like, damn, if the Cardinals got the most out of their talent, they could be a much better team. I always feel like the defense is a lot better than what it ends up being. And then Kyler Murray just never quite, outside of 1 or 2 years, never quite what you want. But Sam Darnold has proven a lot of people wrong, as he did last year. Could this team be an improved team? Could they? Hey, if they could just do what they did last year and get 10-7, that would be something impressive, right? I don't think anybody even remembers that they won 10 games last year. A lot of people are treating last year as if it was a bad year. It really wasn't. They had a solid year. They were this close to the playoffs. They have pieces, right? If you're in Seattle, there's stuff to root for, but I just don't know. It's just question marks, right? So I get that they're still rebuilding from the Legion of Doom, right? They only got rid of Pete Carroll just a couple years ago. He's in Las Vegas. I already talked about that team and how I think they're, I looked at them as having 9 wins. That's an improvement. For this team to get 9 wins is obviously a step back, but I kind of think that's where they are. You know what I mean? You're installing a whole new quarterback, and you're getting rid of like key players like Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. So you're kind of doing your offense over. You have a running back that's constantly injured, and Kenneth Walker. So you're probably going to lean on Charbonnet a little bit more. So there's a lot different from this team from last year, and I don't know if that everything's going to hold up. And so that's why I'm picking about 9 wins. Could they get 10? I don't know. Let's go to the schedule. Let's see. I don't think they have the toughest schedule, so it's certainly possible for this team to get more wins than that. Let's see. They start off with San Fran. That's going to be a tough game. Then the Steelers. That's going to be a tough game. Then they get the Saints, which you would like to think that you're going to win. Then you get the Cardinals. Everybody beat up on everybody last year, so that's going to be a tough game as well. Let me see. I'm just trying to look what they did to the Cardinals last year. Well, they did beat them both games. And they beat them fairly handily-ish, 16-6 the first game, and pretty handily-ish, 13-18 the second. So you would like to think you should probably beat the Cardinals again. You've beaten them before. Then the Bucs, that's going to be a tough team. Jacksonville, don't know. I don't think much of them, but they could have an explosive offense if everything clicks with them. You got my Texans, who I think is going to be a very tough team. Then you got the Commanders. That's going to be a tough team. The Cardinals again, who again you should beat because you did last year. Now you got to start facing the Rams, and they're going to be too much for you, I think. And then you get the Titans. You get the Vikings. We'll see. That's going to be a big game for Darnold. The schedule makers knew what they were doing with that game. Then you get the Falcons. We'll see how they are. That's another team with a lot of potential, but you don't know how good they're going to be. The Colts, who I'm championing to be a surprise playoff team, but I could be wrong. and that could be an easier game. Then you have the Rams again, Thursday Night Football. It's going to be a very big game late in the year. And then you get the Panthers, who, you know, I think will be an improved team, but I don't think it's going to be this world beaters. And San Francisco, who I think will be a little bit better, but that's the chance to prove me wrong. You get the chance to prove me wrong. I mean, a lot of this is going to come down to how do they do in division. How does this team do in division? This could be one of those teams that are better than what a lot of people are thinking of. It wouldn't shock me if they prove, you know, me wrong. There's some pieces there. And, you know, a lot in the NFL is about taking the pieces you have and imposing your will. Are the Seattle Seahawks good enough to do that over the course of the next 17 games when they are kind of a new team coming together with the quarterback and the receivers kind of getting changed out? You do have Jackson Smith and Jigba, and again, I'm messing up his name. So he's kind of a constant. You do have those running backs. They're a constant. You do have a lot of pieces on defense that are nothing to sniff at. This is not a bad team by anyone's stretch of anyone's imagination. But it's upper mid, you know what I mean? Maybe they're 9 or 10 wins. Maybe the West is still a tough division. You know what I mean? Last year was a tough division, even though only one team made it out. But they were really scrapping and clawing to get out. So I can't help but to say 9 wins, 8 or 9 wins, especially because every team in this division is not going to win 9 wins, right? Somebody's got to get 7 or 8. Somebody's got. I think the Cardinals probably have 7 or 8 wins, right? I think the Rams will probably have 11 wins. 49ers probably have 10, and this team around 9. And it'll be a tough division. Everyone's going to be decent-ish, but I just don't believe in Sam Darnold to repeat what he just did with the Minnesota Vikings and repeat that with the Seattle Seahawks in year 1. Maybe year 2. Maybe they build up some of this talent around him. I mean, the offensive line, they did improve that, or at least tried to, and that was a big issue for Minnesota, who also has tried to improve their offensive line. Though I have a theory on O-line play across the league that I've shared in some of these videos. I think in general, offensive line play is less than defensive line play, so you're going to have to scheme your way out of it. And we'll see if they have the talent and the know-how to do so. Not a team I dislike, not a team I like. I could easily go 8-8. Or 8-9, I should say, 9-8. That's just how they feel to me. They just feel like they're in that middle of the pack, maybe a little bit better than some other middle of the pack teams, but just right there. But what do you think? Am I way off? Is Seattle a much better team than I'm thinking, or are they a worse team? Am I overrating this team? Is Sam Darnold going to bust and be, who we thought he was before last year? Did he do some deal with the devil and is expired, and he's going to turn into a pumpkin as soon as he gets into Seattle? I don't know. We will see. It could. It happens. It does happen. So you tell me what you think about Seattle Seahawks and this division and this league. Please let me know in the comments. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace.